Hello, it's Elizabeth Busby here, and welcome to Discerning Marriage. You guys, the Olympics are one of my favorite things in the entire world, and Paris 2024 just ended at the time we're dropping this video, and I really wanted to capitalize on these feelings that we all have. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people that I know love the Olympics. Even if you're not like me and think about the Olympics all the time, if you just love it while it's happening, there's a lot of passion, a lot of fire, a lot of excitement about the Olympics. And I want to talk about that because they just ended, and I want to process what this means for us moving forward until the next Olympics. Now, the first thing I want to say is I know that there were a lot of people who boycotted the Olympics because of all of the hot mess stuff that was going on politically, sociologically, psychologically, and I support you if you are an Olympic boycotter. But I also support those of you who are not Olympic boycotters. This is an issue upon which good Catholics can disagree, so some of us boycotted, some of us didn't. But at the core of all of us, whatever choice you made this past one, there is this spark of love for the idea of the Olympics in its ideological form. Idealized? I think it's idealized form. And that's what I want to speak to today, is this like fire that we all have. Why do we have it? Why do we have it? Why are we passionate about the Olympics? Why did people care enough to boycott it, right? Why was it something that people even thought about or had on their radar, right? If you chose not to watch it, or if you did choose to watch it, why do we love it so much? Why is this something that lights a fire in us? And the reason is, and I am convinced that this is true, the reason is that all of us were made for Olympic victory on an eternal scale. Stick with me here. When someone becomes a saint, right? What that means is when you get to heaven, when you get crowned with that glory that will never end in union with God, in unity with God, that is ultimately like the culmination of excellence in humanity. The culmination of excellence in humanity is to be divinized, right? To get to spend eternity with God. That is the ultimate excellence that a human can ever achieve. And I think the reason so many people like sports excellence, even people like me who are not athletes, people who like sports excellence like it because there's this desire for excellence in all of us. There's this desire to fight for something greater than ourselves. There's this desire to pour ourselves out for a cause greater than ourselves. There's this desire to push us to the absolute limit and see what can happen. Like, what am I capable of, right? There's this desire to just run and not grow weary, and to just be great. There's a desire for greatness. And that desire for greatness that is realized on a human level in the Olympics, right? In sports excellence and the best of the best across so many different disciplines coming together for 2 weeks to really see who is the ultimate best, gold, silver, bronze. Like, that is really a taste of the glory that is to come in eternity. When we all have this spark in us that wants to be excellent, because excellence really is living in the image and likeness of God, right? Giving our lives over to something greater than ourselves. We've been given the gift of life, given the gift of free will, and we're all created to give that back to the Lord, right? And so to bring him glory and to reach the heights of humanity, right? The heights of holiness. The heights of humanity are the heights of holiness, right? To be so in union with the heart of Christ that your heart beats with his heart. And that is what we were all made for. So even if people don't understand that this is what's happening, right? People who aren't Christian or explicitly or implicitly, right? They've rejected Christianity, or they've just never heard of it, or they've been raised in a totally different faith. People who don't understand heaven, who don't believe in heaven, who don't think the afterlife is real. Like, all of these people, there's a spark in them because they were all created in the image and likeness of God, right? They're all beloved creatures of the Father. Those who are baptized are beloved children of the Father. And there's this burning desire we all have for union with God, which is human excellence, right? Giving your life back to God and living from that place of abundance in Christ. That's what we were all made for, whether we know it or not. And I am convinced that the reason we all love the Olympics is because we are tasting a little taste of that glory, and the sports excellence is existing to open our hearts to human excellence. And even though the Olympics is over for another 2 years or year and a half or whatever it's going to end up being before the Winter Olympics in 2026, that fire for excellence and for greatness doesn't have to go out in your heart. In fact, you can allow that to push you towards that ultimate excellence that we can all achieve, right? That life-changing, world-changing excellence that comes when someone is completely abandoned to God and he is allowed to move through them. And when I talk about that one life poured out for God, that living in total excellence that allows for us to really be the best, really thrive, really win that like eternal gold medal. I'm talking about the saints. And you can see in the lives of the saints that these people, when their whole hearts were given over to God, that is what really changed the world. One person completely sold out for Christ, right? Completely given over to Christ has the capacity to change the entire world. And I'm thinking of people like St. Francis of Assisi. Almost everybody knows the name of St. Francis of Assisi, or at least the people who were raised in the West know St. Francis of Assisi. But that man completely lived his life for Christ, and his legacy has permeated the world. Pope John Paul II, that man poured his life out for God, and whether you were a Christian or not, you knew who he was, you recognized that he played a big role in so many different aspects of life, and his life changed the world. Mother Teresa, this woman, even if you didn't know Christ, even if you didn't understand Christianity, you could see something about this woman that poured out onto the whole world, right? There was something so beautiful about her. These lives changed everything. You have the capacity to change the world also, right? By living your life completely for Christ, by being willing to pour yourself out for love of Jesus. That is what true human excellence looks like. And you have the ability to do that. So all of the energy that you have, the pumped upness that you have, the enthusiasm that you have about the Olympics, even though they're over right now for the time, channel that into achieving your own excellence, into really pouring yourself out into fighting for God and his glory. I always say that if we don't want holiness, if we don't want heaven the way that those athletes won Olympic gold, we're doing it wrong. We're doing Christianity wrong. And we're doing human life wrong, right? Anthropologically, we're all created to be in union with God. So we're doing it wrong if we aren't wanting the eternal crown as much as these people want the Olympic medal. And so I am totally convinced that this love we have for sports excellence, this love we have for the Olympics can open our heart to what we're really longing for, which is heaven, and which is living a life of excellence. So how do you start? It looks about as unexciting as it would look for an Olympic athlete to start training for the Olympics, and that is discipline in your daily life. That is what it actually takes. If you actually look at the life of an Olympian, not during the 2 weeks of the Olympics where they're wearing their colors of their country and they're living in the Olympic Village and they're all together with all these other Olympians like fighting for gold. If you actually look at their day-to-day life, if you ever met an Olympian or know anybody who knows an Olympian and you find out like what, or watch documentaries about Olympians and see what their life looks like, it looks like a lot of discipline. It looks like discipline in what they eat, when they sleep, how they spend their social time, what they spend their money on, what their energy is going towards, what their social lives look like. Like everything is centered around this goal of Olympic fame, which means that everything in your own life ought to also be centered around giving glory to God. And in the day-to-day, that does not look as exciting as the actual like Olympics. But that's what it takes to reach that level. So I want to encourage you to find one area that you can grow in discipline and one area that you can pour yourself into with all of this energy and enthusiasm left over from the Olympics. I would recommend a prayer life, but you're welcome to start with something else like exercise or sleep or something that will dispose you to be able to encounter God in another way. And pick one area that you think you could improve in and focus your energy on cultivating the proper order in those things, the proper discipline in those things, or in that specific thing for your life. And it's going to not feel glamorous and it's going to not feel glorious, but I assure you that if you continue to persevere, just like those Olympians, when they go to the gym every single day, when they turn down hangouts with people, when they funnel their money into more training, and when they're not enjoying whatever food they really, really love because they're choosing to sacrifice that for the end goal of eating healthy so they can't, or they're eating healthy for the end goal of being able to compete at the highest level. Like all of those little sacrifices are what add up to being able to compete on the massive stage and ultimately win. So I want to encourage all of you to find one area and to work on improving that area in your life for the glory of God, so that every step that you take in that direction is going to bring you one step closer to our own eternal Olympic glory, if you will. I hope that you enjoyed this. This is really my heart. These kind of like sort of silly but very serious videos and topics about human living, right? And how to live in a way that is setting you up for human thriving and setting you up for an authentic relationship with Jesus, which will ultimately set you up for authentic happiness. And I hope that this was helpful to you. This is how I'm going to be spending my time as the Olympics are over, channeling my heart and soul into growing in discipline and growing closer to Jesus. And I hope that you will join me. So until next time, stay close to the heart of Jesus and be not afraid. Bye.